Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Careers Week, brought to you by GradStar and Leaply. Just to make sure everyone can hear me, just a quick sound check.
You are coming through loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Peter. Okay, so it's your guy, Kiana Cotton here, and I am your wonderful host for this amazing session. For those of you who have not heard of me or met me before, just some info about me. I'm a third-year BCom Accounting Science student at Nelson Mandela University, and I am a proud top 100 grad star superstar. Okay, so just a few tips and tricks for all the attendees from my side, especially those on the web and mobile app. Please just ask your questions. Do not be shy. Do not hold back on us. Just ask, and ask. We are super excited. Like I cannot stress it enough. Ask your questions. Engagement is super important. Okay, so don't hold back. Be noticed, stand out, and just blow us away. Just for all the attendees, please ensure that all comments are posted in the Wova chat bar and not the video chat bar. But if I'm not mistaken, I think the video chat bar has been disabled. But in any case, Wova chat bar, not video chat bar, okay? And questions to be posted in the Q&A session. Just while you are testing out the chat bar, let us know where you're joining in from and your current field of study or occupation, any type of interest, just keep that chat rolling in. Another tip, I'll be posting a few polls throughout the session, so please remember to answer them, so keep an eye out. And again, keep the questions rolling in. If you do experience any issues with the web or mobile platform, the session is alternatively streamed and can be watched on YouTube, the link of which is in the chat. Then again, there's a trending hashtag Careers Week 2021. So get posting, take your selfies of yourself in the session, just make it go live. That's again, hashtag Careers Week 2021. Okay, this afternoon, I am honored to be hosting an incredible organization for this session, a company which many might not know about or might not have heard of. They are none other than EasyEquities. Okay, so for all the accountants out there, what are equities? Good question. Well, if you do not know, it's all good. Here to tell us more on what they are and how to start investing and secure your financial future is Carly Barnes. Carly is a marketer, singer, investor, flexitarian, and world wanderer. Using her ability to tell stories and keep it real, she's breathed new life into the world of investing as brand manager, and more recently, relationship manager at EasyEquities. In her free time, Carly practices playing the ukulele, tries out new recipes, and spends her time in nature. That's over to you, Carly.
Wow, what an introduction, guys. That was incredible. I felt like I needed some theme music or something. That was so cool. Thanks for the intro, Kino. And thanks so much for having me. I'm just looking at this chat and I'm seeing there's people from Stellenbosch, there's people from Polokwane, there's people from Rhodes. Wow, that's so awesome. I'm in Johannesburg at the moment. And today I am going to be talking to you about investing. So I think we should just get into it. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Let's do it. Okay, so what you've got here is a little bit of a snapshot of EasyEquities. So before I really get into anything, I just want to explain what EasyEquities is. EasyEquities is an investment platform that allows anybody to invest. It doesn't matter how old you are, how much money you have. It's an online investment platform where you can buy shares, you can buy ETFs, and all that jazz, which I'll get into shortly. But the best way for me to really talk about investing, what it means, and why it's so important to secure your financial future is to share with you guys my own personal story of investing. So let's do a little bit of that. Okay. You're going to have to excuse my technical abilities. They are not my strong point. There we go. Can you guys see that? Kino, can you see that?
Not yet.
Okay. Let's have a look here. what I'm doing wrong here. If I don't get this in 5 minutes, you guys are just going to have to watch my face, which is also okay.
Okay, there we go.
You can see it, right?
It's not the presentation, but yeah. Okay, let's just wait. There
How's
we go.
that? Okay, awesome. All right, so you guys probably know from hearing that amazing introduction from Kino that I did not start my journey in my career as a financial person at all. In fact, I actually wanted to be a singer and a performer. Even more than that, I was like, I'm giving Beyonce a run for her money. Okay, she must move over because I am taking over. I was going to be on Broadway. I had all these big dreams. And I can tell you now, if you told 18-year-old me or 21-year-old me that 15 years later, I would be standing in front of you now talking about investing, I would have said you crazy. Like, there is no way that that's what I'm going to end up doing. And I think I had that mindset because, like so many people out there, I just felt like investing is this really complicated thing. It's super expensive. Like, have you guys bought groceries lately? I mean, that's expensive. Now you want me to start investing my money. Like, what money? You know, I just felt like I'm too broke to even think about that kind of thing. And I also felt like, isn't investing something that happens on the 16th floor of some crazy fancy building in Sandton? Like, I am not there. So why would investing make sense to me, right? But the truth is, if you think about it, investing has been shown as the most successful way to grow your wealth over the long term. If we look back in history and we look at all the different ways that people save money, investing historically has proven to be the best way to do that. And, you know, all those like kind of ideas that I had about investing when I was younger, that is the very reason why EasyEquities came about. They saw all of these things that people thought about investing, and they were like, nah, we need to do things differently. And so what they did was they said, okay, cool. We're going to make investing really cheap. What does that mean? That means that you don't have to have like a minimum amount to start investing. You don't have to already have like 10,000 Rand just to start. You can have as little as 10 Rand, okay? You don't have any minimums. You also get to invest with whatever amount of money you've got. So let's say, for example, and we'll get into all of this stuff a bit more just now, but let's say, for example, you wanted to invest in a share like Capitec. A Capitec share costs about 1,500 Rand. And traditionally in the past, you would have to wait until you had 1,500 Rand to go and invest in a Capitec share. With EasyEquities, you can invest in a piece of a share. So you can actually invest in Capitec with 50 Rand and get 50 Rand's worth of Capitec shares. And then the other way they made it really cheap is by only charging 0.25% brokerage, which is essentially like the commission you would pay when you make an investment. And that works out to about 64 cents for 100 Rand invested, which is crazy cheap, guys. If you had to look at other people or platforms that do this, you'd see it's way more expensive. So we made it cheap, right? Then we thought, yeah, investing is pretty intimidating. Like, there's all these big words that no one understands. Let's make it easy. So when you arrive at our Facebook page, our office, or our website, you will not feel intimidated. There are words there that you can understand. The language is easy. We make sure that it's educational. We help guide you through our platform, which is really intuitive. And of course, just by nature, it's not exclusive anymore. It's not something that only happens in boardrooms or, you know, in an office somewhere. This is something that everyday South Africans are doing. I'm talking about 12-year-olds, guys, that probably are more advanced in putting together a portfolio than what I am. In fact, I know they are. I'm talking about students, people in their 50s. One of our clients is in their 90s. And in the past, they felt like just too intimidated to start, and now they don't. So that's where EasyEquities was really born. So I want to get back to kind of my story. And my story started quite a few years ago. It was about 5 years ago, and it was Christmas, and I was looking forward to some spoils. from Father Christmas or from, my parents. I always get excited around Christmas. And I was waiting for, to see what I was going to get. And my dad gave me an envelope, which is always a good sign. I think we know when we get an envelope, there's going to be something interesting inside. And when I opened this envelope, I had a 100 Rand voucher to invest on EasyEquities with. And I was like, okay, what is this? What is happening here? And my dad said to me, look, use this voucher. It's this thing called EasyEquities where you can go and invest and you can buy shares. If you use that 100 Rand, I will put more money into your EasyEquities account, and then you can do what you want with it. If you want to go buy shoes, if you want to take your friends out for dinner, that's on you. So I was like, okay, cool. I see you, what you're doing here. And I've got nothing to lose, man. So I'm going to give it a shot. So I took this 100 Rand, I set up my EasyEquities account, which was pretty easy. I'd never heard of it before. I'd never thought of investing before. And I was like, okay, cool, let's give this a go. I got this 100 Rand. I was pretty impressed with myself that I'd gotten that far. And then I thought to myself, okay, now what? Like I don't know anything about shares. What shares am I going to buy? So as I started thinking a bit more about it, I thought, well, let me start with companies that I at least know what they do, right? Like I at least understand how they make money. I have an idea of how popular they are, how many people maybe use them. And when I started thinking about these things, I thought, what about stuff like where I do my grocery shopping? What about companies that I am paying out of my salary every month, like my bank, my medical aid, my cell phone operator? So I started kind of there, and I thought, okay, cool, I'm going to start there. What about Pick and Pay? Like I shop at Pick and Pay all the time. They sell groceries. This is what they do. This is how they make money. I'm gonna do that. And that was my very first investment. I invested 10 Rand in Pick and Pay. And it was quite amazing when that happened. Something kind of I didn't expect to happened to me. Firstly, it was this incredibly empowering feeling that I'd managed to do this all by myself. No one had helped me. No one had to sit next to me and explain things to me. I did this on my own, and that felt really good. That felt really, really empowering. The other thing was, at that point, I was 30 years old, and I had not saved at all. I had not started thinking about retirement, because you don't want to think about that stuff when you're younger. You're like, that's so far away. And it had started making me really worried that I hadn't done anything. And this, even if it was 10 Rand, this was my first step in that direction. It was my first step in being, concerned about my financial future and actually doing something about it. And the other thing that happened, which was really interesting that I didn't expect, is that it changed the way I thought about these companies that I'd invested in. So as an example, I went to Pick and Pay not long after that, because that's where I do a lot of my grocery shopping. And, you get so annoyed when you're sitting in like a queue waiting to pay for your groceries. It's a Friday, it's payday, the queues are out the door. You're like, do I really need bread even? And suddenly I was standing in that queue thinking, this is my company. My company's doing really well. I don't mind that there's actually a queue right now. Like, this is a sign that the company I've invested in is doing well. So it changed how I had this relationship with, these companies that I'd invested in. So I thought that was really interesting. And it was the first step in a really long journey that I started to take. Because from here on out, I really started to take a little bit of an interest in investing. And here's where I started really developing my skill. So once I started on these first few shares, I really wanted to know more about choosing shares. And I thought, how do I do this? Because this is the biggest question people have when it comes to investing, is what share do I invest in? So I started researching. I started visiting places like Easy Research, which houses like loads of research on different stocks. I started looking at the Motley Fool, which is research on US stocks. Just one lap. Really smart guy called Simon Brown does this analysis and insights on that site. The Finance Ghost, a whole lot of different resources. And I just slowly started learning bit by bit, and I'm still learning. I'm only halfway through this journey as it is, how to go about making those decisions. Another thing I started doing was that I actually started reaching out to people on Twitter. So as you can see there in the top right, I'll often reach out to my Twitter peeps and say to them like, hey guys, like, what do you think's happening right now? What's a good share to look at? And they'll kind of respond as they have here, saying like, oh, you should check this one out. I follow financial journalists, I read up on the stuff, and I really kind of have grown my knowledge so much over the last few years to a point now where I don't know everything, but I'm pretty confident in, my decisions as to what to buy. And that's when I first got introduced to something called ETFs. So I really want to chat to you guys about this because it's something that I've become quite passionate about actually in the last few years as I've grown my knowledge in investing. ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund. And essentially what it is the ability to invest in a collection of different companies with one transaction. So I'll give you an example of what that looks like. Say, for example, you're a new investor and you're not 100% sure what to invest in, and you just want to go for a bunch of companies, that are big, reputable companies. You could invest in the Satrix Top 40 ETF, which means the top 40 companies in South Africa you can invest in with one transaction as one thing. And boom, straight away, you've already got a portfolio of shares that you can watch, you can learn a bit about, you can grow your knowledge, and then perhaps start adding some more. So I really like ETFs just because of that instant sort of like selection of shares that they offer you. But they have a few other benefits as well. So as I said, it's one transaction. You're not buying all these different shares, and paying for each one as you invest them. So it's cheaper. They're easy to buy, they're easy to sell, as you would a normal share. And because you have all these different shares inside an exchange-traded fund, the risk gets spread. Think about it. If you had to put all your eggs in one basket, as the saying goes, and you had to drop that basket or something had to happen, boom, there go all your eggs. It's the same idea with shares. If you have a few different shares, let's say 10, or in an ETF, there could be 40 shares, you are spreading your risk out a little bit so that if one company has, a dip or, crashes, the rest of the companies in your portfolio are able to lift that up and your whole portfolio isn't exposed to that risk. You can also invest in international shares by investing in ETFs. So you can invest in an ETF with your rands that actually includes American companies or companies from Japan or China or India, which is really cool. And also you get to read all about ETFs, you get to find out what's inside them. They have all that information up front. So those are some reasons that I really like ETFs. Now you're going to see on the screen here a couple of brands that I think you guys are probably quite familiar with. We've got Tesla there, we've got Facebook, got Netflix, Walt Disney. And I'm going to stop sharing there for a second so that I can actually tell you a little bit more about why I want to bring up this specific slide. Before I get into it, I know this is a lot of information. It might seem like a lot of information. So I know that Kino is going to take a few questions at the end. Feel free to ask, guys, and we'll try to get to as many questions as we possibly can. And there's also just loads of educational information that you can look at on the EasyEquities website as well. So if all of this is feeling a little overwhelming to you, don't worry. Take notes, think about it, and know that there's a whole world of resources and information that you can go read more about, including our YouTube channel, where I do a lot of talking. So if you don't like the sound of my voice, that's probably not a good idea. But let's get back to US shares. All right, so I thought this was a funny story to tell, and I actually like telling it because my CEO gets gets a little bit upset when I share the story, but I love it. I'd been investing for a couple of years, maybe 2, maybe even just 1 even. And EasyEquities at that point had decided that it was going to actually start offering American shares on our platform. And so before we went public with it, we actually did an internal competition where all our staff members used their EasyEquities American account, a USD account. You get a demo account when you sign up on EasyEquities, which is like play money. You can just go and like get a feel for how things work, make a few investments, see how you do. So we'd done that. We'd all gotten these demo accounts, and there was a competition within the company to see who could make the most profit out of all of these American shares. And, you know, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I work with some smart people, very smart. These are people who like invest for a living. They're traders, they have finance degrees, they've got 20 years experience. So can you imagine how intimidating that was? Like, I'm an actress. I don't even really know how this stuff works. Anyway, my CEO made a joke about it, and he was like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. And I was like, now I'm really going to do it. I have to do it. And so I entered this competition, and I bought those companies that you saw on the slide. I actually bought those in my demo account as part of this competition. And at the end of the competition, which ran over a month or two, guess who'd be the winner of that competition? This one right here. 'Twas me. Out of all the people in my company, I actually won. I made the highest profit on those shares. And it sounds silly, and it is kind of silly, but it was a really awesome feeling to know that even a beginner investor who knows nothing about this stuff can actually go on to create a portfolio of shares that does really well, that actually beats everyone else. And we see this all the time. We see this all the time with people in our community, creating portfolios, starting out, and actually seeing great performance. So I thought maybe I could show you guys a little snapshot of what my US account looks like now. Because what I did was, after that competition ran, I waited till I had a little bit of extra cash, and I actually made those investments in my live account for real. So I copied what I did for the competition, and I actually invested them in my real live account with not a lot of money. I don't have thousands. I certainly didn't have $10,000 like we did in the competition. I had just a small little amount of savings. So I'm going to show you today what that account looks like. Wish we had a drum roll. That would be awesome. Okay, so let's grab that slide. Maybe this is the build-up. I like it. So these were the shares that I initially had, which you guys all saw earlier, but I'll let you take a glimpse again. And here's what my account looks like. So you can see in the top right there, that is my total profit, which is over 100%. And that is just me investing in companies that I really believe in and not doing anything, not touching them, maybe adding a bit here and there, but not really doing anything. And that's the big difference between, I guess, someone who's an investor and someone who's a trader. And that difference is investing is about growing your wealth for the long term. And that's why I feel like this is such an important discussion to have with you right now, because you guys are at the starting block of the rest of your life. It's awesome. It's so awesome to be where you are right now. And you have so much opportunity, but what you also have is so much time. Think about the impact of being able to start investing now when you're young and you're starting to earn money, hopefully very soon, and being able to have like 30 or 40 years to save this money for something like retirement. Think of what a difference that can make. This is over the course of, let's say, 4 years. Imagine what this is going to look like in 40 years. So that's a really, really powerful message. And I hope it's one that you guys will take with you today about how important it is to start young and to set the tone for the rest of your financial life. Yeah, so that's a little profit that I'm very proud of. Obviously, it doesn't always work like that. The nature of the stock market is that it goes up and it goes down all the time. There's not a share graph that you'll ever look at that is completely straight. Sometimes a company is up, sometimes it's down, the next day it's up, the next day it's down, sometimes it's really down, sometimes it's really up. But most of the time, if you look at how that works over 10 years, you'll find that there's usually an upward trajectory. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about investing being the best way to grow your wealth over the long term. So that's different to trading. Trading would be if you buy and sell within the same day and you're kind of just chasing numbers and trying to make a quick profit. Investing is long term. And investing is also different to saving. So if I had taken the money that I invested in my USD account and I'd rather put it in a bank account and just left it, there would be no 108.7% profit. It would be pretty much the same amount. It wouldn't change. Because putting your money in a bank account, yes, you do earn a little bit of interest, but it doesn't grow. It doesn't work for you. It doesn't harness the power of something called compound interest, where as it grows, it just grows more, and then it grows on that growth, and then that growth grows more. That's a lot of grows. But I think you guys get the point. It's a really, really powerful vehicle to be able to prepare yourself for later in life. And that might not even be retirement, although it's probably something you should think about. It might be that you want to buy a house one day. It might be that you're saving for a wedding in 5 years. It might be that you want to make sure that your kids get a good education. So investing earlier, which is what everyone says they wish they'd done, is a way for you to start doing that. And it's so powerful if you can do it now as you start earning money and as you're able to put a little bit away every month. So essentially, guys, I'm gonna wrap things up there, and we're gonna start taking a few questions in just a bit. But before we do that, I've put the information on this screen up on our exhibitor booth. It's a little competition that we're running for you guys, so please all take a look at it, go and participate. I don't know how many of you attended the Capitec talk before this or are Capitec users. I bank with Capitec myself. But EasyEquities is actually available in your Capitec app. So if you go into your Capitec app and you click on the tab that says Explore, you'll be able to go to a section called Widgets. And in that section, you'll be able to actually sign up for an EasyEquities account within your Capitec app, which is really, really cool. So we're busy doing a little bit of campaigning around that, and I wanted to give you guys a chance to be included. So if you go check out the exhibitor booth, you'll find the details there. But essentially, all you need to do is go to our YouTube page, which is the EasyEquities YouTube page. Look at the different links that I've shared in the description. They're basically webinars about ETFs, and you guys are like skilled now on what an ETF is. And so there's just a little bit of social sharing that you do there, and you could stand a chance to win 1,000 Rand EasyEquities voucher. What? So cool. And one of 5 spots at an online roundtable with some of the Team Easy members here, where we can shoot the breeze, man. We can talk about your career prospects. We can talk about investing. We can chat about basically anything you guys want to chat about. So please do go check that out. And I'll see you in the Twitter sphere with all your tweets. That would be awesome. So yeah, Kino, I'm seeing like a bajillion questions coming through. I know you've been keeping an eye on them for me. Guys, there's also some polls that you can go check out and give us your thoughts, your inputs. I want to hear what you think. But Kino, maybe you can just pick out some gems and put me on the spot. Let's see what I can answer for you guys.
Okay, so to put you on the spot, one of the questions was, just in case the people are not quite very pleased or happy with your voice, perhaps, but they were quite interested in what books or podcasts you might recommend to assist them in learning about the terminologies and all that gips of the jargon with regards to the entire investment.
The cool thing is there are so many places that you guys can check out. So I'm going to give you a few examples, but if you just do a bit of Googling, you'll find somewhere that suits your flow, you know, and has like a nice tone that you can relate to. But I'll give you a few tips. Just One Lap is a podcast by Simon Brown. They have a website as well, and there's some really good education there around ETFs, around shares, around investing. So go check that out. There's also a new guy on the scene called the Finance Ghost. No one knows who he is, which makes it even more intriguing. He has a great weekly newsletter where he just breaks things down and makes them really simple to understand. So go check out the Finance Ghost. There's also the EasyEquities blog. I mean, I'm biased because I think it's amazing, but there's a section on the EasyEquities blog called New to Investing. And that's got real starter information. How do I make money investing? What is a share? What does that mean? It's got all that kind of information for you. And then there's some great books. There are some great influencers. So I would also check out a book called Manage Your Money Like a Effing Grown-Up. It's a very tongue-in-cheek book about managing your money and your finances. And a publication called Financial Mail. It's quite a mixed bag of what's in there, but it's you know what? If you start reading it now, even if not everything makes complete sense to you, over time, as you start exploring this, you're going to start like actually getting it. That's what happened to me. Like, it just took some time. You might want to Google a few terms here and there, but eventually you'll start thinking, okay, I know what a dividend is now. You know, I know how that works. So just believe in yourself, give yourself the time. Investopedia.com, also not a bad place if you just don't understand what a word is. And another one that I quite like from time to time is called Nerd Wallet. It's an overseas site, but they also break things down quite well. So check that out. Oh, and one more, Visual Capitalist. They do a bunch of infographics. So if you're a visual person, go check out Visual Capitalist. They have a lot of nice investing infographics.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very, very much. I'm sure that many of us will be looking into that. And another question, is it advisable to buy multiple shares as a beginner, or basically with ETFs being a single entity like investment, which would be best?
Look, it's so hard to say because it all depends on your personal style and like your personal appetite for risk. So think about it like this. Investing in shares, just like one share, would be considered a lot more risky than investing in an ETF, because an ETF has got so many different things in it. So if you're someone who's like a little bit risk averse, you might want to think about an ETF. Or you might say to yourself, actually, I'm medium. I want to go and invest in 10 different shares. Like, keep the pot quite small, and make sure there's a few different things in there. But yeah, that's what I'm comfortable with. Or if you like me, I invest in ETFs and shares. So I'll invest in an ETF that is sort of like a general ETF, like the Satrix Top 40, which is a great one to look at. And then on top of that, I'll go, you know, I am quite interested in Capitec, and I am quite interested in Steers, or, you know, a couple of single shares that I've got my eye on, and I'll have those as well. So, you know, it really is up to you. I think in the beginning, it's always better to keep it simple. So maybe, yeah, look at 10 stocks that you really like, or look at an ETF. I think the key thing is to make sure that you're diversified, as in you don't just invest in one thing. But again, that's up to you to decide. Maybe that's your risk appetite and you don't mind.
Okay. You are really keeping the crowd, like, your people are enjoying your energy. Your energy is absolutely great. It's like, wow. And I saw at the beginning, actually, you can say that you are technically giving Beyonce a run for her money, because there was this one person who actually spoke about your YouTube, the EasyEquities YouTube channels and your webinars. So you are up there with the Beyoncés.
I will take that compliment. I'm going to take a feather in my hat for that. Thank you.
Okay, just another question. There was a question with regards to the losses. How does it work with the losses? Because I know with like trading, you're able to like create like a trend, a stop loss, like triple level. But how does the loss work with the EasyEquities platforms?
Okay, so I mean, loss and profit, it's a simple concept, right? Yeah. Let's say you buy a share for 50 Rand, and then in a year's time, that share is worth 100 Rand, and you sell that and you make 50 Rand. It's the same as if you would buy a house for 100,000 Rand, and then in 10 years' time, you sell it for 500,000 Rand, you've made a profit. But it can also work the other way, right? So let's say, for example, you bought that house for 100,000 Rand, but 10 years later, you can only sell it for 50,000 Rand. Or if you bought a stock for 100 Rand and 5 years later, the stock's down and you can only sell it for 50 Rand. So that's how profit and loss works with investing. It's quite straightforward. Now, I think the question you're actually asking me is, how do I know when to sell? How do I know when is the right time to sell a stock? Do I sell it once it's lost money? Do I sell it when it's making a lot of money? Because obviously we all as investors, we want to make profits. We don't want to make loss. That's not why we're in this. But it's important to understand that it's not a guaranteed thing, and it does go up and down. These shares go up and down all the time. I challenge you to go and look at one share today and look at its chart. And if that share is a complete straight line with no ups and downs, I'll buy your pizza. Pizza's on me. So I think as an investor, you've got to prepare yourself for that emotional roller coaster and not get too emotional about it. And understand that, yes, there's things that you can do to kind of inform when to buy and when to sell. And we've actually got a video that addresses that a bit more in detail on our YouTube channel. But I think one piece of advice that I got was, if something isn't doing well and your share is looking like it's making quite a big loss, you don't necessarily have to sell it. You just don't buy more of it, and over time, in the next 5 years, hey man, it could turn around. It could go back to the same price you bought it, or maybe it goes into a profit, and then you can consider selling it. So it's about having that long-term point of view and going, I'm not going to look at my account every day and see what I must sell. I'm going to look at it maybe every other day, or, I'm going to seriously think about buying and selling not so often. So yeah, there's no magical sort of answer to that question. You've got to decide for yourself. And I think in your journey, as you grow, you kind of get a sense of, okay, just because Tesla is down today, it doesn't mean the company's going bankrupt. It just means they're down today. And then tomorrow they might be up. And you start getting a bit more comfortable with that up and down feeling, and you get a better sense of, maybe I should buy, maybe I should sell. Because if you really believe in Tesla, which if you're an investor, should only invest in companies you really believe in. If you really believe in it, that little dip's not going to bother you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and then there's a question about the difference between EFTs and unit trusts and your opinion on investing in unit trusts.
Right, so investment trusts, which are, as far as I understand, they're a little bit like an ETF. So as I said to you, an ETF is this collection of different companies that you invest in as one thing, and it's based on a specific theme. So I guess unit trusts are a little bit like that. They are not bought and sold on an exchange. So, it's not as immediately transferable as an ETF. I think there's a little bit more time involved. You've got to wait. There's also a little bit more of a management of what's inside there. So in ETF, there's not a lot of hands-on management going on there. I think they update what's in an ETF every quarter. Whereas a unit trust, I think it's a little bit more heavily managed by the people that have created it. So there's a little bit more of a fees element to that. And that's something that you always need to think about with investing, is cost. How much is this costing me? In saying that, a unit trust is regulated. It's considered to be a safe investment. So, I mean, not, like I said, not all investments, you can't guarantee anything. There's no magic ball. Trust me, if there is, I will find that magic ball and I'll buy everyone pizza. But there just isn't one. So no matter what investment you're going into, there's always a degree of risk. But I think with unit trusts, that risk is a bit lower just because of those facts that I mentioned. They're regulated. There's a little bit more hands-on management involved. So, I mean, I think it's worth me sharing a little bit more in-depth information with you, because that's probably my level of knowledge. But I think that there's a space for them in your portfolio. You just need to decide what your goal for your investment is, So I think it's worth, I'll definitely make sure I share a bit more information on that for you guys.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then just a few more. I see there's a question here. One of the attendees heard on a podcast that there's an account that is not taxed. how does the person go about opening that account, and what's the maximum amount? Basically, what's the details about that?
So for me, this is basically like flirting, because tax-free savings accounts are my favorites. I'm so glad you brought that up. Now we are official. Okay, let's talk about tax-free investing, because it's this amazing, amazing way that you can invest without paying tax. Guys, who wants to pay tax? Does anyone actually want to pay tax? No one wants to pay tax. Why?
Not at all.
Why? So think about it this way. Anytime that you make money doing anything, okay, if you sell a house, if you run a business, if you make money, SARS wants a piece of that money. Doesn't matter where it comes from. And the same goes with investing. So if you start investing, you make a profit and you sell your shares and you get that money, SARS is like, I also want some of that. If you get dividends, I want some of that. But there's this magical account called a tax-free savings account, which you automatically get when you open an EasyEquities account. You've got a South African stock account, a tax-free savings account, you can have a USD account, you can have an RA account, you can have all these different accounts for free, and you get them when you sign up. And what a tax-free savings account allows you to do, because government looked at us South Africans and they were like, nah, bruh, you guys suck at saving. We are going to give you a helping hand because we don't want our people to be broke. So government said, okay, listen, every year you can contribute up to 36,000 Rand. You can go and take that money, you can invest it, and all the profit you make from that investment, we will not tax you on. Any dividends that you get, any interest that you earn in that account, any profit you make on those investments, you can have it, you can keep it. But only 36,000 Rand a year and 500,000 Rand in your lifetime is what you can actually invest tax-free. So it's an amazing, amazing initiative that everyone should take advantage of. I always say, why wouldn't you start there? Why wouldn't you start with your tax-free savings account when you can get it free? And in line with what what government said, they're obviously trying to make sure that South Africans are responsible savers. That's what the incentive is about. So part of their conditions with a tax-free savings account, aside from the amount that you can put in, is the kind of things you can invest in. So they also don't want people to go and invest their entire savings into one share and that share drops and there goes their savings. So they've actually said it's compulsory. If you're in a tax-free savings account, you can only invest in things called collective investment schemes. Horrible word. Basically, that means you can't just invest in one share. You've got to invest in a collection of shares, which are ETFs. ETFs are, it's not one thing, it's a collection of shares. So in your tax-free savings account, you can't invest in a single share, but you can invest in ETFs. So that's also why I love ETFs, because that's what you have in your tax-free savings account. So yeah, definitely go check that out.
Okay, so there you have it, people. Tax-free is the way to go. Okay, just final wrap-up questions. How do you open up the demo account on EasyEquities, and what is the difference between EasyEquities and other investment avenues?
Cool. So when you register an EasyEquities account, which is a very simple, straightforward process, costs you nothing, there's no paperwork, super easy. Once you do that, you don't even need to have put in any money. As you open your app, you'll see that you've got two demo accounts. You've got a South African demo account and you've got an American demo account. And in your South African demo account, you have 100,000 Rand that you can just play with. It's not real money. Don't go thinking we're just giving everyone 100,000 Rand. It's play money. It's money that you can go and like, okay, let's see how this thing works. And okay, let's try 50 bucks here. Let's try 5,000 Rand. You can feel like a baller, basically. And then you also get a USD account, a demo account, and that's got $10,000 in it. And then you can really feel like a baller, because then you can be like, I'm just going to take some Amazon and some Facebook and some Apple and some McDonald's. So So you can play around in your demo as much as you want. It works exactly the same as your live accounts do. So that by the time you get to the live account, you know how this thing works. And when you first open your EasyEquities account, you'll be given the option, like, what accounts do you want? As part of the registration, you'll have to select, these are the accounts I want. And if you don't select anything, you just get your South African account, your TFSA account, and your South African demo account. If you wanted the American account and the American demo account, you'd have to select it. So you'll go through that process as you register an account, and boom, there you go, demo accounts for days. And then in terms of how we compare with other platforms, I'm very biased. So I'm going to give you my answer, but I think it's worth doing your own research as well. I think for a first-time investor especially, the platform is easy and intuitive. It's just the way that you navigate through it is very simple. It's very easy. There's lots of explanations on the platform, so that's not intimidating or confusing. It is the cheapest that you will find, in my opinion. I haven't done all my research, so don't hold me to that. But in terms of paying 64 cents brokerage for 100 Rand, I really think you'll struggle to find anywhere cheaper than that. And a lot of other platforms, the normal fees that they charge, you'll pay a platform fee. So you'll pay just to have the platform before you've invested anything. And that's usually around 80 Rand. So before you've even touched a share, you're paying 80 Rand. Then you're also paying brokerage, which is a lot higher than what I've said for EasyEquities. And then on top of that, a lot of those platforms say you can only start investing if you have 5,000 Rand or 1,000 Rand or whatever the case may be. So you've got your monthly platform fee, you've got your brokerage, then you've got a minimum amount you have to start with. And then we are the only platform that allows you to invest in a piece of a share, not the whole share. So if you're really interested in a little share like British American Tobacco or Naspers. Naspers is the company that owns DSTV and MultiChoice. Let's say you really wanted to invest in a Naspers share. A Naspers share costs 3,500 Rand right now for one. On EasyEquities, you can invest 20 Rand and get a piece of a Naspers share and get all the dividends, relative to that amount, and get all the profits relative to that amount. Whereas on a traditional platform, on any other platform, you'd have to wait until you have 3,400 Rand to invest in that share, which just excludes so many people from great shares. I want to get my hands on good quality shares. I might be interested in that as my strategy. I don't want to be excluded or have to wait 3 months. By the time it gets to 3 months and I've saved 3,000 Rand, the share price has gone up to 4,000 Rand. So that is the main difference. I can tell you how there's all this educational stuff, and I love that, and the look and feel is cool, and we've got research and blogs. All of that is 100% true. But I think in terms of usability and cost, we slay. And that's my very biased opinion.
So there you have it, people. EasyEquities is the way to go. And then I just have final question. You spoke about the dividends. How does the dividends earnings work?
Okay, so dividends are a funny thing. They're not 100% guaranteed. So let's look at a company like Coca-Cola, for example. Everyone knows Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola may be a company that from time to time pays dividends. What is a dividend? A dividend is when a company looks at all their profit and they go, you know what? We're going to give a little piece of this profit to our shareholders because they've stood by us, they invested in our brand, they invested in our company, and we want to give them a little bit of the pie. We want to give them a piece of the pie back. And so every now and then, let's say a company like Coca-Cola will say, okay, all our shareholders are going to get a dividend of this amount, and they'll just pay you that dividend just to have. You can take that cash money and use it as you want. You can actually reinvest it and say, you know what, I don't even want to take this money out, put it back, invest in more Coca-Cola shares. So that's how dividends work. But every company works differently. So a company might decide, you know what, we don't want to pay dividends. It's not we're growing, we need that money to put back into the company, we're not paying dividends. You may get a company that pays dividends sometimes, but then the next year they don't. Or you may get a company that pays dividends every 6 months. That's how they keep their shareholders, that's their strategy. So it's very different from company to company. And it's not something you can say they're definitely going to do it. It's a maybe situation. But in saying that, there are a bunch of companies that historically, over the last 50 years, they always pay dividends. So there's a good chance they're going to keep paying dividends. And something that's quite nice, if you're someone that's interested in dividends as part of your investment strategy, you might want to earn a bit of passive income every now and then or you might want to have them reinvested so you can accelerate your investing even more. You can actually look for a dividend-focused ETF. One of the webinars that I've included in our exhibitor booth is about the Satrix Divi, and that is an ETF that contains dividend-paying companies. So they know these companies are definitely going to pay dividends, and those dividends are then paid out to you as the shareholder. So if you are someone that wants dividends in your portfolio, I would look at a dividend-paying ETF like the Satrix Divi. There are a few different ones. It's not the only one. And you can actually get dividends that way.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. There is a comment in the chat there. Kolani said he once tried withdraw USD demo funds. He's still hurt, but you enlightened him now. Okay, so that's it, everyone. For those of you who haven't started investing yet because you do not have enough money, I see there's 70 out of 191 on the poll for that. You only need like 10 Rand to really start, so you cannot say you do not have enough money. And for those who say it's too complicated, I'm sure after Carly's chat, you cannot say it is too complicated. She was very in-depth, she was super energetic. I don't even have the words to express the entire presentation.
I feel like today. I converted you, Kino. I feel like you're definitely going to be investing now.
You definitely have. Okay.
Guys, also sorry, I'm going to butt in quickly before you wrap, Kino. A lot of you are asking where you can watch these videos, where you can find me. I'm on Twitter. My handle is @ShareGalCarly. ShareGalCarly. And if you go to the EasyEquities YouTube channel, you are going to find a lot of videos that I've done, webinars on ETFs, what they are, how they work. There's a playlist called Easy Learn, which has like some investment basics in. So go to EasyEquities YouTube and get the popcorn out and make a day of it.
Okay, perfect. So there you have it, everyone. And if you really want Carly to continue giving Beyonce a run for her money, go and check her out on the YouTube channels, subscribe to her Twitter account, do everything possible to make sure that Carly stays up there with Beyonce. Okay, so just a massive thank you again to Carly and EasyEquities for the amazing and super insightful and super energetic session. I will certainly be going about feeling like a baller after this, and obviously the tax-free way as well. I mean, I want my money for myself. Sorry, South African government. But yeah, once again, thank you to Carly for the session today. You are absolutely great. Again, I do not have the words. And just a quick thank you to Investec as the main event sponsor of Career Week. So that's it for the session today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for attending. If you'd like to check out and find out more about EasyEquities, please ask them some questions, pop over to the exhibitor booth. If you're on the web, it's on your left, mobile, look for the exhibitor tab below on your screen. Again, ask the questions, show your interest, stand out, and just go find out how. Just a few competitions and prizes that are coming up. At 3 o'clock, which is in an hour's, about half an hour's time, is the GradStar presentation. So in order to win with GradStar, download the GradStar app from your mobile app store, enter the DHL GradStar Awards through the app, and just attend the session. It's at 3 p.m. today. You could stand a chance to win a Y Watch Fit, 500 Nando's voucher, or a Future Fit assessment with a strength report. That's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to Carly and EasyEquities, and good day.
Thank you.